Hi, everybody. It's Dave and Mike here again. And we're just so enjoying talking about principles and how principles can support us through these times of uncertainty that we're in at the moment. And we just thought we're going to carry on for indefinitely for a while and just see where this takes us. And conversations are the way we discover what we know, we share it with our colleagues, and together we create intellectual knowledge. That's a quote by Alan Weber from Harvard Business Review. And I just so resonate with that. When we talk, we begin to unearth a whole lot of treasure within, especially if the talk is focused and aided by people around us. And Dave, that's why I love chatting with you.
Yeah, absolutely. We learn together, don't we?
Yeah, and even sometimes in the rubbish we talk, it's bad ideas create the good ideas, and so we often need thinking partners, and you're a great thinking partner. So thanks, Davey.
Yeah, mutually. Yeah, it's just great to bounce things off with each other, isn't it? And I'm enjoying this. I think there is some momentum about just chatting through these extraordinary times that we live through. How about you? But I'm waking up in the morning, still going, am I in a movie? Is this mad? What's going on?
Joked around with a couple of people before that it feels like you're in the movie Groundhog Day.
It does.
You just keep waking up into the same day. And although it's been, I found myself exceptionally busy, which I'm very grateful for. It is this strange notion of every day has got the same sort of rhythm and routine to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So we've been talking about principles. Yesterday we spoke about sowing and reaping. And Dave, you sort of alluded as we ended off yesterday that you wanted to chat a little bit about being present, being in the moment. Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah. So I guess this is a theme that I've been, I would say, playing with in my own mind for the last 2 years, I guess. My mind races at 1,000,000 miles an hour a lot of the time, and I certainly have in the past spent a lot of the time thinking either in the future, thinking about what's coming up, or thinking in the past, casting my mind back to what we used to do, etc. And someone challenged me a while ago, in fact, someone that that I needed to sit by the still streams and be still for a moment and just be present and be in the moment. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about now. Mm-hmm. And when he first said that to me, I didn't quite know what to do with that, to be honest. I would have argued anybody that I was in the moment, I was present, I was there, but actually the reality is that my mind was anything but present. It was very much in the future, the next meeting, what am I having for supper, and even going through past conversations. So I'm definitely working through, how do we be present? How do we be real in the now, in this present? Eckhart Tolle says, the only thing that we have that we are certain of is now. We don't have tomorrow, and we've had yesterday. The only thing we have is right now. And if that is true, then how do I make the most of right now? How do I be in the moment? So maybe by way of that, let me throw that back at you. How do we be in the moment?
I must say, the term being in the moment can actually be a difficult term. And I found myself sometimes going into a place of almost anxiety when people say you've got to be in the moment, because how do you divorce past thoughts, future thoughts? And I think where I've interpreted incorrectly in the past is being in the moment can come with it a connotation of a clear mind, where you're just sort of thinking about nothing. And I don't think that's necessarily the truth. So I remember seeing a picture a little while ago, and it's quite a humorous picture, but if you think of the term mindful, but those are two separate words. So the mind is full, almost like a computer that's got just too many applications open, versus mindfulness, which is more focused thought on one or two particular things. And and that's helped me tremendously because one of the dangers that we have is we can have so much running through our mind that in actual fact we are distracted in so many different ways. And for me, being in the moment is not necessarily a thing about past, present, or future, but it's about focused thought.
Mm.
That's
I would say it's about awareness. Um, I'm
uh,
learning. I'm been doing some study at the moment, and I am learning to become aware of how I'm feeling about a conversation as the conversation is taking place, even right now. Becoming aware of my body, aware of my mind, but also my soul. How is my soul? My emotions are being engaged at this moment, and it's a discipline that's starting to make me focus not just on the words that are being spoken but the other sub messages that are going on. The yeah, does this make some sense to you? And it's a
no,
discipline.
no, it does. So two things that help me in terms of being in the moment. The first one is possibly what's the opposite of it, and one of the things that might be the opposite of being in the moment is actually being in what we talk about as being compliance. And compliance is just going through the motions,
Yes,
not being aware of your emotion.
I'm showing
Just,
up, but I'm not there.
yeah, and think how often we are maybe in that place. And coronavirus could help us here a little bit because it's caused a bit of a disruption to just being on the treadmill, doing the same thing, same days, same weeks. So being in the moment is definitely not resigned compliance. David Henry Thoreau, has that powerful quote where he says, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation."
Mm-hmm.
And Thoreau's interpretation of desperation was this compliance. We just sunrise, sunset, swiftly flow the years
It's
or go
about
the years.
life, your life, what life is doing to you, isn't it? I've resigned myself to this is it. This is what I've
Yeah,
got to do. And I've resigned myself to just being at the beg and flow of life, right?
yeah. And when we're in that compliance mode, we don't notice the ray of sunshine through the trees. We don't hear the breeze. We don't necessarily feel the inner emotions within us. The second thing that helps me is the question that goes, what is this moment or season offering me?
Mm, mm,
And I find that a very, very powerful question. And it's one of the questions we put in our Cafe Life book. And every moment potentially is offering you a gift.
mm.
And it might sound a bit raw, inspirational, but it's a beautiful way or posture to live your life, which says, even this boring business meeting that I might potentially be in, I've got two choices. One, I can sit back and just wait for it to end. Or two, I can, even in this meeting, say, I wonder what this moment is offering me. Is it teaching me something that I've never learned before? Let me observe the people. Let me see how the guys are doing this. Let me listen more intently to this particular part of the agenda
Yes,
because, hey, I'm sure I can pick up something.
yes,
And it's a beautiful question. So we're in lockdown, and we can just go through lockdown, desperately hoping to get to the end date,
yeah, yeah,
or we can be engaging this moment and saying, what is this offering me? Not forgetting that this is a horrible time we're in
yeah.
because of the ramifications of it. But what is this time offering me? And it takes us into a different space and begins to get rid of a whole lot of clutter in our mind.
Beautifully said. Again, I just really resonate with this whole topic because when someone said, and maybe you can remind me, whatever you put focus on, you bring energy to. Wherever
Yes.
your focus is, you bring energy. And I, I'm learning that to be in the moment is the place where I'm using the most amount of energy. I'm bringing the most amount of energy to bear into this moment. And so you become a much better you in the moment of what you do than being distracted. A couple tips that I've given out to others, and let's just talk about them now. how many of us have conversations on video, whatever you, and in the corner we've got WhatsApp, or we've got our email switched on, or we've got something else going on in the background, a TV in our corner, or whatever it might be. And all of those things are taking parts of our energy away, parts of our, it's fighting for our attention. One of the things that I'm learning to do is try and shut down all of those, turn the phone over so I can't see it, shut down all the background comms, so that in this moment I am wholly 100% focused on here. And I'm finding that actually, you know, it's tiring when you're trying to spin multiple balls at the same time. You can actually be fatigued because your mind is now processing, what is that next WhatsApp? You know, I wonder what it's saying. Is there urgency? This little program starts up, and then an email pings. You think, oh, was it that email? Whilst having a conversation here. But by shutting those things down, it actually, you can come off a video call refreshed because your mind hasn't had to play in all of these directions.
Yeah. And I think a beautiful term there, Davey, is the term of being fully present. So when I'm with you, can I be fully present with you?
Yeah.
Not distracted by my phone and the things that are around me. Now, I think it's safe to say that we can't be fully present all the time. And there are moments for the just switch off and you know, do the random, watch the TV program and stuff like that. But we do that almost from a place of recovery, so that when I'm with you, I'm fully present. And I think being in the moment is about managing distractions, switching off the phone and those different things. I think it's also about managing societal norms. I remember a couple of years ago, Mandy's cousin took us out on a yacht, and as we were going outside of the harbor in Cape Town, we had about 100 dolphins come right next to the yacht. It was spectacular. What did this do is he gets his phone out because now he wants to try and record it so that he can put it onto a social network. And about a minute or two later, the moment had passed, I had a lot of pathetic shots and stuff like that. But afterwards, it just hit me. The moment gave me a gift. But I was more focused on, Facebook, you know, those sorts of things. And how often are we doing that instead of just being there and enjoying? Thank you.
You know what I think would be good? I'd love to discuss with you. Let's do it tomorrow or the day after. Let's talk about that buzzword that's going around the world, meditation. Because in some way it has some bearing on this thing, you know, being present, being in a moment, bringing focus, dealing with all the clutter. But I think meditation can take us into another discussion about renewing our energy, starting the day, or finding moments in the day where you can plug in and renew that energy. We were a little chat. Remember, I said right at the beginning, I'm fighting to try and take a little break every day. Let's maybe chat about that in another podcast. So I'm practicing in every conversation I have to try and be fully present, thinking about what it is I'm involved in today. What tips could we give those who are listening to us today that they could take away from this?
Sure, I think there's a lot of tips, and I think that goes into what you were talking about, meditation and other things. I think a good question for all of us is, if we're talking mindfulness, if we're talking about being in the moment, being fully present, we definitely need strategies which help us and which we develop and grow over time. But I suppose in relation to the question that you just asked, and I'm assuming it's more like in a conversation with the other person. It's you know, there's this phrase which says we've got to listen intently, and part of listening intently, I think, brings with it a letting go of a fear of silence, so that I can focus on what you're saying, and we could then look at each other, and it's okay to have, wow, that's interesting. And I think we need a lot more of that in our relationships, is to be comfortable with the discomfort of, let's just slow things down and let's be quiet and let's be silent with each other, so that when we talk, we can talk some really, really good things. And I think the other thing is when you're with a person is see them again. We may be throwing this out a little bit too much now, but see them as a gift to you, and that you finding your story in their story. And so as they're talking and sharing with you, there is just so much wisdom and insight that you can learn from them. And so this is a beautiful concept which says everybody's my teacher.
Mm, mm,
If
mm,
I see you, Davey, as my teacher, chances are I am going to be a lot more intent and listen to you.
mm.
If I see myself as better than you, or I see the rest of the world as a bunch of idiots, guess what? We're probably never, ever fully present with those people. So there might be, let me throw something at you, and I know our 15 minutes is up, but it gets back to fruit and roots.
We must talk about that sometime.
And I know I'm definitely striking a chord now, because if there's one thing that, or there's a couple of things that really remind me of you, but that's one of them. But it could be a bit of a root issue here is that in being present with people, there's probably a root issue of how do I view people? And do I see them as my teachers, somebody who actually makes me sharper, stronger? And then also that concept of being okay with silence because we're digesting
Mm.
and we're
I
fully
love that.
present with each other.
It's about cadence, isn't it? Reducing the rush, um, slowing the cadence of our conversations down, thinking through, and allowing someone's words to actually take some effect before we just respond to it.
Yeah.
These are beautiful concepts, and certainly I'm going to work hard on being more focused, more present, allowing myself to be more aware of the energy, and yeah, not being so distracted.
Yeah.
Good stuff here, Mike.
Yeah. So final thought, and I think whenever our bodies are in a bit of a cortisol rush, which is threat, it's probably hard to be present actually.
Mm.
And so maybe just the final little something that's really really helped me is what we would call the practice of gratitude, and it's just that process of slowing down to be grateful for what I've got, so that when I'm with you or when I'm in a place, I've hopefully begun to numb or lessen the cortisol flow flowing through my body, and actually moved into more beautiful spaces of being able to slow down, heal, and digest
Mm.
when I'm with somebody.
Mm.
So I just love the concept, and this would be one of the strategies that we can talk about. But it's about being grateful,
Mm.
and so even as we just sit at home, what are the so many things that we should be grateful about, which begins to get some of those other chemicals, the good chemicals flowing through us, begins to lessen threat, so that we can actually be present.
And relax and be present. So many new topics to talk about, Mike.
And that's what I love, because I think in our minds we have a little bit of a plan where maybe we should take this and we get nowhere to where we think we're going to go.
If no one
but,
else is enjoying this, I certainly am. So,
uh, but that's the power of good conversation. And if I really can encourage anybody out there, get thinking partners and just go deep with them, because it's good medicine to our soul.
we'll chat again.
Cheers, Davey.